He tried to romance Su Bai-zhou 5 times, always using a completely different face.
Every time, he was a total hottie. But during that last run, Su Bai-zhou just looked down on him,
telling him to stop simping because he would recognize him even if he turned to ash. Straight up, even if I jumped off this building right now, I still would never be with you. Right before the system coldly announced the mission failed. He just accepted his fate and waited to be deleted. And honestly, death arrived right on schedule. When he wakes up again, the system asks him a question. Do you want to change targets, host? Meanwhile, he stands before a mirror, checking out his new look. And just like the previous 5 times, he is still an absolute top-tier hottie. We are talking a face like a supermodel and 18-pack abs. It is the kind of look he could fall in love with himself, so why is Su Bai-zhou totally uninterested? He can still hear those brutal, harsh words from his previous life ringing in his ears, telling him to stop simping because he would recognize him even if he turned to ash. Saying that even if he jumped down from right there, he would never be with him. It was that exact savage rejection that marked his 5th failed attempt to win him over. 3 days later, a car crash ended his life early, and when he opened his eyes, he became Ye Zhou. Yep, that is his new identity, 23 years old. Just a regular corporate slave who recently graduated, lying on the sofa trying to process everything. Finally, the system shows up late, marking their 6th absolute disaster of a partnership together. They are basically old partners now, with the system explaining it had to attend a meeting at headquarters. That is why I was running behind, but Ye Zhou does not really care. He has nothing better to do anyway, so the system asks if his body feels any better.
apologizing for the brutal death last time, but explaining it was the fastest way to reset him.
It promises they will plan properly this time, refusing to believe they cannot finally conquer Su Bai-zhou. The system keeps rambling in his head, but honestly, he has heard this exact speech 5 times already. So he has 0 expectations at this point. But then, wait, what is this? Why is there suddenly an extra target option? And wait, isn't Bai Ningbing actually Su Bai-zhou's close female friend? Hearing the system completely freak out like that, Ye Zhou is utterly confused. He looks up at the virtual screen in surprise, realizing things are indeed very different this time around. The setup has completely changed, and just like the system said, there is a brand new name. The target list now has an extra option, a girl named Bai Ningbing. What is going on? Does this mean he can actually choose between the two of them? After a long, silent pause, the system's excited voice chimes in again, telling him to guess what just happened. Turns out the Transmigration Bureau started a major reform at the beginning of this month. Now, hosts are allowed to freely choose between 2 different targets for their mission. The system apologizes, admitting it totally fell asleep during the big afternoon meeting. It had to ask a coworker to figure it out, but now asks if he wants to switch targets. Bai Ningbing is apparently gorgeous, but we all know beautiful girls are incredibly hard to deal with. It literally gives the system trauma, and honestly, Ye Zhou is completely traumatized too. After getting utterly rejected 5 times in a row, he is definitely feeling the PTSD. He had to go through terminal illnesses, gunshots, and horrific car crashes, surviving all kinds of crazy deaths until he is genuinely terrified. Back then, maybe he still had some delusional hope of making Su Bai-zhou fall in love with him. But now, he just wants to stay alive, even if he barely knows this Bai Ningbing girl. But they actually crossed paths a few times since Cai-kun started targeting Su Bai-zhou at 16. And Bai Ningbing just happened to be one of Su Bai-zhou's absolute closest friends. Living in Hucheng with the surname Bai, her elite identity was totally obvious. Cai-kun was totally unsure. Specifically, which type of guy this rich heiress actually fell for, so he stayed home. He spent the entire weekend analyzing every past life interaction they ever had. Mapping the timelines led to a pretty shocking discovery. No way, it turned out they had crossed paths in every single life. In life number 1, they attended the same high school. He was a freshman while she and Su Bai-zhou were sophomores. Back then, our boy had just bound his cheat system. To target Su Bai-zhou, he literally camped outside her classroom door every day. Some days he brought fresh fruit, others the latest manga. But Miss Su was way too cold. He tried for a whole semester, but she completely ignored him. Finally, her bestie Bai Ningbing couldn't stand the cringe and teased her. Are you crazy? She joked. This underclassman is literally so handsome and cute. If you don't want him, I might just steal him myself. Well, one day, Cai-kun got cornered by local thugs outside of school. Bai Ningbing randomly passed by and immediately jumped in to protect him. She warned the thugs she does not fight men, so do not force her. She claimed Cai-kun was under her protection, warning them not to touch him. Pure final boss energy, right? Too bad the thug leader had no idea who she was. He laughed at her cringe speech and immediately called for heavy backup. Dozens of his gang buddies showed up, and Bai Ningbing rolled up her sleeves. She looked ready to die for him. Cai-kun was shivering in pure panic. Suddenly, she grabbed his hand tight and screamed for him to run. That afternoon, she dragged him like crazy through the narrow back alleys. Talk about a wild escape, but thankfully they both made it out safely. Before the final exams, with Su Bai-zhou heading to college, Cai-kun decided to gamble. He confessed his love, but she brutally rejected him without a second thought. Mission failed. Right after, he got diagnosed with terminal cancer that spread way too fast. He passed away before senior year even started. But life number 2 came fast, and he reincarnated as her classmate. Both girls were academic geniuses, heading to a top 3 university. Naturally, Cai-kun launched another massive campaign to win Su Bai-zhou over. Even with a totally new face and body, she remained completely cold. She was rich and gorgeous, so basically every guy on campus chased her. Unsurprisingly, our boy was still her most persistent simp. An entire year went by with Su Bai-zhou playing hot and cold. He got so discouraged, he actually wondered if she was into girls. He wanted to ask Bai Ningbing for intel, but they had stopped talking. Super weird since they were besties in high school. Plastic sisterhood, I guess. Once summer break hit, Cai-kun packed up and went back to Hucheng. So basically, in his second life, our main character is also from Hucheng. One day he's just chilling in a bookstore and randomly spots a familiar face. For some wild reason, his brain glitches and he actually goes over to say hi. It is Bai Ningbing, who just looks up at him, looking totally confused. That is when he realizes, wait, she has no idea who this version of him is. See, they go to the same college, but he has never actually spoken to Bai Ningbing. Not even a single word, so he has to awkwardly explain himself on the spot. Hey, we go to the same school. I am Zhang Xiao from the broadcasting department. She acts pretty cold, but she still gives him a polite little nod. Then, while he's checking out, some random kid bumps right into him. As he bends down to grab his dropped book, another hand reaches out and snatches it first. He looks up and sees it is Bai Ningbing, but she does not hand it back right away. Instead, she just stares at the cover of that manga book for what feels like forever. He mutters a quick thank you, and after a tense silence, she distractedly hands it over, and he cannot help but think she is acting super weird. It is like she is completely wrapped in sadness. Maybe some family drama went down? And get this, that was actually his only interaction with her in his entire second life. Because not long after that meeting, his romantic confession to Su Bai-zhou fails miserably, triggering his second system execution. Then, while just shopping on the weekend, some crazy thug literally shoots him in the head. Talk about bad luck. Next up, Life 3. And then Life 4. In almost every single run, he ends up crossing paths with Bai Ningbing. Each time they get a little closer, which is probably because of the sisters. Su Bai-zhou and Bai Ningbing patched up their sisterly bond. Fast forward to run number 5. By now, both girls have graduated college and returned to Hengcheng, working at their family companies. One night, a bunch of rich girls go camping at Qifeng Mountain, and our guy tags along. He even goes as far as to confess to Su Bai-zhou right by a cliff, nervously waiting for her answer. But then she drops this absolute bombshell. Stop simping, Shu Cai-kun. I would know you even as ashes. I am telling you straight up, I would literally jump off this cliff before I ever date you. Bro, that hits him like a total wake-up call. Su Cai-kun was his name from life number 1. It turns out Su Bai-zhou knew he was a system player this whole time for 5 straight lives. Our guy has been running around looking like a complete clown in front of her. Just endlessly trying, dying, and repeating the same tragic loop. To her, he probably looks like some kind of terrifying monster. An endless, respawning freak, now that his cover is completely blown by her. He wanders down the mountain totally numb. It is officially game over. This run is another failure, and the system is about to delete him again. He is just anxiously waiting to see what brutal way the system will choose to wipe him out this time. The pure dread makes him shake uncontrollably. At this point, he is completely drowning in absolute panic and utter despair. Since she knows he is a player, even a 6th attempt is doomed to fail. He has zero chance of winning her over unless he can somehow wipe her memory. He frantically spams the system, but there is absolutely no response. Just then, a flashy sports car pulls up right next to him. The window rolls down, and boom, it is none other than Bai Ningbing. Basically, our boy Cai-kun and Bai Ningbing barely know each other. They are just nodding acquaintances. That is probably why she actually stopped the car for him so early in the morning. When she asks if he's okay, Cai-kun takes a breath, nods, and just mutters a quiet, yeah. She warns him that walking down takes at least 4 hours, so he should just get in. To be honest, Cai-kun really does not want to get in because he barely even knows her. They are practically strangers, plus he knows his own life is low-key about to end. What if the system trolls him this time and summons a random meteor to crush him? If he is sitting in her car when that happens, he will just drag her down with him. Sounds totally wild, but after what happened, he literally got headshotted by a mall thug. So at this point, no weird death would surprise him anymore. Bai Ningbing furrows her brows, looking dead serious as she tells him he needs a reminder. Apparently, local police constantly get reports of single guys getting assaulted on these mountain roads. That warning instantly makes him change his mind and jump into the passenger seat. He is just really not trying to experience getting assaulted and murdered today. Once inside, he stays dead silent, which is totally fair given his current mental state. He is deeply depressed, and surprisingly, Bai Ningbing is not talking either. Maybe she is having a rough day too. But suddenly his phone starts buzzing. It is from Su Bai-zhou, and after a brief hesitation, he slowly answers the call. He picks up. "Are you gone?" Bai-zhou asks. Cai-kun swallows hard and mutters a quiet only for Bai-zhou to call him by his real name. The guy sounds incredibly lazy on the other end, telling him to stop restarting everything. Bai-zhou says he is completely sick of it and hopes tonight is the final time they ever meet. Then he just hangs up, no hesitation. His heart completely clenches. Honestly, seeing him suffer like this is actually so sad. What did he even do wrong? He spent 8 whole years trying to romance this guy across 5 different lifetimes. Going from absolute devotion and overflowing love in the beginning to constant anxiety and fear of rejection. He constantly worries and changes his identity over and over again. With no family and absolutely 0 friends left, he is just like a walking corpse drifting endlessly through this world, and he cannot even remember when it started. His entire heart has become overgrown with weeds, completely empty, cold, and lonely. But the worst part is, this nightmare loop will just keep going on forever. There is no end in sight, until a hand suddenly reaches over with a tissue. Only then does Cai-kun realize that a silent tear has actually escaped his eye. He instantly feels incredibly embarrassed, worrying that Bai Ningbing thinks he is completely crazy. He quickly clears his throat and tells her to just drop him off at the bottom. He asks to be left at the nearest bus stop, but she just stays quiet. Right as they approach the bus stop, Bai Ningbing suddenly speaks up. She asks if he knows any good late-night food spots, catching him completely off guard. She is just hungry. That explains it. Like, she is the actual heiress of the elite Bai Group, so how does she not know? She explains that she suddenly craves street barbecue but has not had it in forever. All her old favorite spots apparently shut down, but luckily for her, Cai-kun knows exactly where to go. He quickly gives her directions, and they pull up right in front of a cozy roadside stall. Just as he goes to say goodbye, she asks him to stay with her. He is not a fan of greasy barbecue, so he just smiles and politely shakes his head. She quickly says she is not even hungry, but sitting alone looks kinda weird. She is such a high-maintenance rich girl, so he has to stay. She orders a massive mountain of food, making him think she is absolutely starving. She barely eats any of it, basically frowning through every single bite. It is pretty obvious she cannot handle spicy food and is totally forcing herself. He tells her to stop before her stomach gets completely ruined. Bai Ningbing quietly sips some water, then suddenly asks where he is planning to go next. He says home, but he can tell this rich heiress is struggling to make awkward small talk. Sensing the awkward vibe, she just nods and insists on driving him back. He tries to turn her down, but her stubbornness wins, and he has to give in. An hour later, the luxury car arrives at his modest apartment complex. He opens the car door and steps out, waving goodbye and thanking her for the ride. "Be careful," she says, nodding without another word. He walks away, but suddenly, a chilling realization hits him. Wait, he never actually gave Bai Ningbing his address. How does she know exactly where he lives? That is actually crazy. He turns around and sees her car is still parked there in the dark. She is just sitting in the driver's seat, watching him, which instantly triggers memories of his second life. Back when they randomly met in that bookstore, her eyes were exactly like this. It is like she is completely drowned in sadness, making him feel this sudden heartbreaking pain. Hesitating for a brief second, he gently waves at her. He turns away again, knowing this is the end of his fifth regression. This was their very last moment together. 3 days later, he tragically dies in a car crash. Crushed completely by a massive, heavy truck right in the middle of a busy street. That is it. He decides to switch his target to Bai Ningbing, and the system asks if he is sure. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Since there is no way to make Su Bai-zhou forget everything, this is his only option. He really does not want to get brutally killed again. The system sighs and apologizes, saying they needed a fast way to restart the game. Getting hit by a truck was the safest option, even if it was extremely painful. But at least it was fast, and he knows the system is actually spitting facts. Honestly, is there any way to die painlessly? If he wants to survive pain-free, the only way is to successfully clear this game. He opens the official website of the Bai Group and is shocked to find they are hiring. So he submits a few resumes, hoping his status as a fresh graduate gives him an edge. Just a few days later, he gets an interview invitation for Monday morning. Dressed in a sharp black suit, he shows up right outside the massive Bai Group headquarters. He waits in the Starbucks next door, anxiously checking his watch for 30 minutes. Finally, the system sends a notification saying his new target will arrive in exactly 10 minutes. Telling him it is time to go in, he takes a deep breath. He quickly grabs his briefcase and walks right into that incredibly massive and luxurious skyscraper. After verifying his interview invitation, the security guard hands him a magnetic keycard pass. As expected of a top 500 company in Asia, their security is absolutely flawless. While slowly walking through the main lobby, a sudden commotion erupts near the entrance. He looks up, and the woman walking at the very front of the crowd is her. She is wearing a sharp gray suit, eyes deep and intense, with dark, striking features, and standing right by her side, there are several older board members, all around 50 years old. Clearly elite company veterans, yet they are all walking beside her with total humility. Nodding in agreement at her every word, our MC has literally never seen Bai Ningbing look this insanely powerful, surrounded like a literal queen. She is so high class you can barely look at her, but then again, she is the heiress of the Bai Group, so this crazy turnout makes perfect sense. His system quickly warns him, "Host, stop daydreaming, they are entering the elevator." "Hurry up and run over!" The system literally screams inside his head. But our MC hesitates. Is this really a good idea? She is surrounded by people, but the system says, "Who cares, you are already here." This is a rare chance to get on her radar before taking the next step. Only then can you make your move. But our MC just shakes his head. He thinks his system watches too many K-dramas, but just as the elevator doors start closing, he dashes inside anyway. Meanwhile, Bai Ningbing asks how the Smart Tech City project is going. Her cold voice echoes in the elevator. While the executives start explaining, our MC sneaks a glance. He steals a look at her, thinking back on the timeline. It has actually only been 2 months since they parted ways that night. She looks a bit thinner now. He wonders if she is just working too hard. Seriously, she is incredibly tall, probably around 175 or 176, with those sharp, cold eyes and a perfectly high nose bridge. Her facial features are so clean and sharp. Honestly, her look has not changed much since high school. Seeing her like this brings back memories of their sophomore year of high school. He remembers her grabbing his hand, running wild through those old city alleys. He can still hear her saying, "This young miss never beats up guys." So do not force me to make an exception. This student, Cai-kun, is under my protection. Anyone who dares to touch a single hair on his head today is going to pay dearly. Man, time really flies. In the blink of an eye, 8 years have already passed. While he is caught up in nostalgia, his eyes suddenly lock directly with Bai Ningbing. Talk about a plot twist of pure panic. His heart immediately starts racing. But before he can even react, she just casually looks away, completely indifferent. Right, he almost forgot. How could she possibly recognize him now? He is being silly. He shakes his head with a bitter smile, only to realize something awkward. Every single board member in the elevator is staring dead at him. Talk about secondhand embarrassment. He must have been staring way too blatantly at Bai Ningbing just now. That definitely triggered the alarms for these protective company veterans. One of them asks, "Excuse me, sir, which department are you from?" The speaker is a stern-looking uncle wearing glasses. He is rocking a slightly balding look and waiting for an answer. Left with no choice, our MC admits he is just here for a job interview. The uncle frowns, noting that interviews are on floor 3, while this is floor 26. The elevator dings open, revealing the massive gold letters of the executive suites. At this point, our MC is incredibly embarrassed and quickly apologizes. Bai Ningbing steps out of the elevator and her entourage follows closely behind. Even though they finally crossed paths, it basically feels like he does not even exist to her. His system starts whispering in his head, saying that this Bai Ningbing looks like trouble. She seems super tough to deal with, so he better prepare well for his interview. If he gets into the Bai Group, he will have a major home field advantage. His chances of clearing her route would jump by 50%, but life had other plans. 3 days later, boom, he gets a call saying he failed the interview. Honestly, it was totally expected since the competition that day was actually crazy. 2/3 of them were elite Ivy League returnees, and the rest were top domestic graduates. Meanwhile, his identity in this life is just a regular local college graduate. Totally unremarkable, but hey, no big deal. Since he already cleared Su Bai-zhou, he has got the inside scoop on her bestie. He knows a decent amount about Bai Ningbing's daily schedule and tastes. Setting up a casual, accidental encounter? Piece of cake for our boy. On his 6th night staking out the Queen Club, he finally hits the jackpot. Su Bai-zhou rolls up with some rich heiresses, and right on cue, Bai Ningbing appears. Makes sense since this club is their home base, but a major issue pops up. These elite rich girls always head straight to the private VIP rooms on the 3rd floor. Tonight is no different, and honestly, our main character is low-key losing hope. Sneaking into the VIP area is basically impossible, so he decides to chill on the 1st floor. He sits at the bar, orders a cocktail, and decides to wait for his moment. As he is sitting there bored out of his mind, he suddenly spots Su Bai-zhou walking down alone. She grabs a window booth on the 1st floor, even though the club music is blasting. Lasers are flashing everywhere as the crowd goes absolutely wild on the dance floor. It is weird, since she usually hates noisy crowds. Why the sudden change of heart tonight? Su Bai-zhou is a total 10 out of 10, and her style is absolutely top tier. Sitting there, she is literally a magnet. Every single guy in the room is staring. Naturally, a guy immediately tries to shoot a shot. Since she is in a good mood, she actually chats with him, but then out of nowhere, her attitude goes completely ice cold. Sensing the frostbite, the guy has no choice but to awkwardly back away. But Miss Su is high in demand. As soon as one leaves, another guy instantly steps up to take his place, and she acts normal again. But a few minutes later, she pulls another instant mood swing. The poor guy leaves looking totally defeated. This cycle keeps repeating over and over. Our MC is just watching this like, bro, what? This girl has got some major issues. He just shakes his head. Whatever, he already cleared her route anyway. Not his business anyway. He looks away, and that's when he spots her. Bai Ningbing is downstairs too. This is his golden opportunity. He quickly gets into character and prepares to make his move. But then he pauses. She accidentally bumps into some guy's drink and smoothly says something to apologize. The guy replies politely, and just like that, they start talking.
They are actually hitting it off. Our MC is literally standing there completely dumbfounded.
Wait, what is happening? As an experienced system player, he knows exactly what Bai Ningbing just did. That bump was definitely not an accident. She did that entirely on purpose.
Does she actually like this dude? To be fair, the guy is handsome as hell.
Like Bestie, their taste in men is literally identical.
Just 15 minutes ago, this exact same guy was chatting up Su Bai-zhou for quite a bit.
Our boy slumps back in his chair. Talk about a terrible start. So Bai Ningbing actually goes for those handsome, sweet-looking guys. He keeps a close eye on them while scrolling through his phone. Luckily, they only talk for 10 minutes before the guy leaves looking pretty disappointed. The guy reluctantly leaves, letting our boy breathe a sigh of relief. Time to make his move, but before he can even get close, Bai Ningbing already starts chatting up a completely different guy. No shot, what is even happening here? Wait, didn't this guy literally just try to flirt with Su Bai-zhou too?
Seriously, what is up with these two sisters? Or maybe...
Is this some weird new trend we don't know about? Our boy is forced to sit back down. Honestly, seeing these girls play the field like this, total reality check for how he viewed Bai Ningbing. He listlessly scrolls on his phone while keeping watch until they finally finish their chat. This next guy looks just as heartbroken to leave, hesitantly pulling out his phone. He tries to ask for her contact info, but gets shut down immediately. This is getting wild. After rejecting him, Bai Ningbing looks strangely lonely. She walks through the crowd with a pretty melancholy look on her face. Scanning the people around her, she has this dazed, melancholic look.
It seems like she is searching for someone. Our guy quietly follows behind.
She is heading straight for the elevator, probably going up to the 3rd floor. If she slips back into her private VIP room, he completely loses his chance. He quickens his pace, planning to slip into the elevator right after her. The elevator dings open, and a waiter holding a drink tray steps out. Shaking slightly, the waiter loses his balance, and the glasses start to slide. They tilt dangerously, about to crash down at any second. Luckily, the waiter catches them just in time, but the sudden movement forces Bai Ningbing to take a step back, slamming right into our guy. His grip slips, and his phone goes flying straight onto the hard marble floor. There is a loud, painful crack.
His brand new Huawei phone that he just bought a few days ago now has a beautifully shattered screen.
Honestly, talk about perfect timing. He picks it up looking absolutely devastated. The waiter is standing there panicking, though it is not even his fault. It was Bai Ningbing who bumped into him, and she gracefully lets the waiter off the hook. She dismisses him, just as our boy's about to play it smooth and politely make his move to transition into the next stage with her. She pulls out her phone and calls Lin Saran, asking if she has any cash on her. Within 2 minutes, Lin Saran runs down to the lobby. She hands Bai Ningbing a stack of cash, who then apologizes to our guy. Tossing the cash right into his hands, the message is loud and clear. Without another word, the two girls step into the elevator. They vanish in seconds. At this point, our boy has to admit his system was right. Bai Ningbing is way harder to crack than her sister.
Seriously, how is our boy supposed to survive this, walking out of the club? Both he and his system go completely silent after a solid week of plotting.
Our boy grinds all night for absolutely 0 results. Seriously, she probably forgot his face already. At this rate, he will run out of time on his system quest. Her cold attitude says it all. He is completely not her type. He complains, asking if the system even understands a woman's taste. The system is low-key done with his whining. Mirror check, young master, you are literally a top-tier hunk. Tall, handsome, incredible aura. You could easily be a star, but our boy just sighs. Why are his targets always so incredibly weird? So annoying. He mindlessly wanders into a nearby bookstore. Turned out to be his old favorite spot. Then, a poster catches his eye. Hyped up, he runs inside. Did Season 10 of Eye of the Demon King drop yet? The chubby owner nods. Got it yesterday. Perfect timing. Our guy rushes to the very back. He grabs a fresh, beautifully bound manga volume. Finally, some good entertainment. He reads for hours. Before he knows it, night falls. Time to head home. He closes the book, looks up, and instantly freezes.
Wait, Bai Ningbing? What is she doing here?
Standing outside the window is a woman in a light blue shirt. She just stares, silent, piercing. How long has she been there? Suddenly, old memories flash back. His fifth failure with Su Bai-zhou.
Bai Ningbing drove him home with that exact same deep look.
Sensing his gaze, she locks her car. She walks into the shop. Panic mode instantly activates. He calls for the system. Nothing but dead silence. Incredible! The system always glitches when he needs it most. She walks to his aisle. She is browsing. Should he walk past and fake a fall?
Too cringe, spilling coffee instead?
No, too dirty. He stays put. He mindlessly flips through pages on the wooden counter while desperately thinking. Before he can plan, she stands right beside him, barely 50 centimeters away. She is reading Eye of the Demon King, the very manga he recommended to Su Bai-zhou back in high school. Now his anxiety spikes. This is crazy. He never felt this nervous with Su Bai-zhou. Why is his heart racing like a Formula One car? Then he spots his coffee. An idea strikes. He positions his elbow, preparing to casually nudge the cup. A sudden arm movement and boom, a coffee cup shatters. Ye Zhou stares down in absolute shock at the shattered pieces scattered across the floor. He looks up, locking eyes with Bai Ningbing, whose mysterious dark gaze is deep like obsidian. Bai Ningbing looks super apologetic, murmuring that he really didn't mean to do it. Ye Zhou reflexively shakes his head and quickly squats down to pick up the shards. No worries, Bai Ningbing says, bending down right beside him to help out. The gap between them shrinks instantly, and those lips are right there. With that high nose bridge right there, our boy suddenly gets those classic novel descriptions. You know, the ones describing a faint, lingering woodsy scent that just drifts around. It is like a cold mountain on a cloudy day, or fresh winter cedar. Not too intense, not too distant, and honestly, it smells amazing. A sudden, inexplicable flutter hits Ye Zhou's heart, and honestly, he has no clue why his heart is racing. Once they clean up all the shards, our boy asks the shop owner how much he owes. You break it, you buy it, right? But the manga shop owner looks kind of shady. He glances at Bai Ningbing behind him and says $780. Our boy literally thinks his ears are playing tricks. The owner just sighs regretfully and tells him he is sorry, kid. This cup was custom made by an elite foreign designer, so that is literally just the price. Sure, a foreign master, right? At this rate, Ye Zhou is low-key ready to call the cops on him. Talk about a scam! Since when did this cozy manga shop turn into a complete rip-off joint? Sensing his absolute disbelief, the owner lets out a deep sigh and tells him to just look it up. If you do not believe me, you can search this brand online. I literally have the order number and the official shipping proof right here if you want to see them. 3 minutes later, our boy is totally deflated. Turns out he is the actual clown here. He never expected this brand's coffee cup to actually be that insanely expensive, you guys. Just as Ye Zhou reluctantly gets ready to pay, Bai Ningbing stops him, claiming he broke it. He says he should be paying, but he has no cash or phone on him. He asks if Ye Zhou can cover it first, and he will transfer the money later. Bai Ningbing is speaking in that slow, smooth, gentle voice of his. Honestly, his attitude right now is way better than back at the Queen Club. He is so much more approachable now, looking straight into Ye Zhou's eyes. His deep eyes look like they are covered in a beautiful, hazy mist. Honestly, Ye Zhou does not really mind paying the 780 yuan for him at all. After all, the 10,000 yuan Bai Ningbing just gave him for a new phone was way more than enough, but since he is currently trying to win him over, this is the perfect chance to get closer, so our boy gladly agrees to cover the cost. Once the bill is settled, Bai Ningbing smoothly brings up another question, just like that. He asks for Ye Zhou's number, but even after getting the digits, he still seems slightly worried. He actually borrows the owner's phone to dial it right away, waiting until Ye Zhou's phone rings. Bai Ningbing finally relaxes, completely relieved to know the phone number is perfectly correct. Then, realizing something, he asks for his name, leaving Ye Zhou momentarily stunned. After a brief pause, our boy replies that his name is Ye Zhou. Bai Ningbing notes that it is getting late, and if he does not mind, He can share his address so Bai Ningbing can drive him back home. It is just to show his appreciation, and honestly, in that exact moment, Ye Zhou completely forgets who is supposed to be winning over whom in this game. Bai Ningbing's attitude is just so incredibly sincere, clearly filled with genuine hope. Her eyes shine brighter than stars, like they are full of tiny pieces of sunlight. If it was anyone else, I would care, since it is almost midnight. What if I get sold off somewhere sketchy? But this is Bai Ningbing. The same Bai Ningbing who promised to protect me back in high school. Nobody knows what kind of person he is better than me, and after 3 months, I am back in this silver Bentley feeling completely different from my last despair. Unlike that crushing depression where the sky felt like it was falling, I am totally relaxed now. I even feel a tiny bit of secret joy inside since I have been doing the system quest for 6 lifetimes. Up until this exact moment, I finally see a tiny glimmer of hope. I turn my head and notice Bai Ningbing looking at me with a soft, quiet expression. I quickly sit up straight and say I have not told you my name yet, trying to break the silence. I nod casually and say I know, right as Bai Ningbing slams on the brakes. The car jolts hard with a heavy bump before pulling over urgently to the side of the road.
Bai Ningbing stares at me in a daze, and I suddenly remember I forgot to tell him.
Last week, I went to the Bai Corporation for an interview and saw you in the elevator. His expression shifts slightly, clearly having trouble keeping up with my pace. The Bai Corporation? Oh, right, inside the 26th floor elevator. Finally, she gets a clue, looking like she just woke up from a dream. Our MC speaks up again, reminding her that they also met at the Empress Club tonight. Yeah, the time she smashed his phone. Hearing that, Bai Ningbing's perfect face totally cracks. Okay, so it turns out that before their random encounter at the manga shop, all of our guys' romantic strategies were a total flop. She literally had zero memory of him. Bai Ningbing face palms, totally embarrassed and not knowing where to look. She apologizes and offers to go buy him a new phone right then and there. Our MC just sighs, asking her if she even has time for that. Classic rich heiress behavior, honestly. Must be nice to have infinite money. He reminds her she already paid, pulling a thick stack of cash out of his bag. Staring at that cash, Bai Ningbing looks incredibly annoyed with herself. The vibe in the car instantly goes from awkward to straight up weird. Soon enough, the car pulls up right outside our guy's rented apartment. Bai Ningbing hesitates, clearly wanting to say something else before he leaves. But our boy knows when to play it cool. He just waves goodbye. He flashes a polite smile, thanking her for driving him back. Drive safe, he says. Fast forward to Saturday. Our guy gets a call that he actually passed the Bai Group interview. They want him to start next Monday. Score! Even his system is completely stunned. The system is literally like, wait, didn't they reject you before? While brushing his teeth, he fills the system in on last night's drama. The system pauses in shock, asking if he is for real. It complains it was only offline for a bit, but they already moved this fast? Our guy shoots back, pointing out that it was offline the entire night. The system brushes it off, hyped that Bai Ningbing is this easy to win over. Looks like they finally picked the right target. Let's hope so. Sunday morning, and our guy is still half asleep in bed. Suddenly, his phone rings, and the voice on the other end changes everything. So the HR manager of the massive Bai Group personally calls our guy. She just wanted to make sure Yi is actually showing up for work tomorrow. Once Ye gives her a solid yes, she literally sighs in relief. She's even like, Mr. Ye, we are so excited to have you. See you Monday. Hanging up, Ye is honestly kind of baffled by this whole Bai Group situation. They are a top 500 company in Asia, yet HR is acting this desperate? Like calling a random applicant over and over just to beg them to join? Either way, Ye is officially employed now, so he jumps up to check his closet. Time to pick out his fit. See, his current identity is just a broke, struggling recent college grad. His bank account is basically crying, and his closet is looking pretty empty. But hey, at least the few pieces he has are classic, versatile fits. Still, he definitely needs to hit the mall and grab some professional suits. On Monday at 8 a.m. sharp, Yi meets up with the HR manager. She is around 30 years old, looking very pleasant. This is the exact same woman who called him on Sunday, being super polite. But then comes the plot twist. Ye gets a major surprise. He is suddenly assigned as Bai Ningbing's assistant even though he applied for accounting. HR explains that while his major is finance, the accounting department is fully staffed. However, the CEO's office has an assistant currently out on maternity leave. She assures him the pay and benefits are identical, only the tasks differ. Plus, they will have someone train him and show him the ropes immediately. The way she is selling this role makes it obvious she is desperate to lock him in. Honestly, Ye has zero complaints about this sudden change of plans. After all, working in the main office gets him way closer to Bai Ningbing. The assistant job is pretty straightforward, and within 2 days he has it down. It is just basic admin stuff, translating documents and organizing daily reports. He also helps prepare materials for board meetings, but something is off. Yi works there for over a week and never catches a single glimpse of Bai Ningbing. It is not until he overhears some gossip in the cafeteria that he gets answers. Turns out she is currently in Europe handling some major crisis at a branch. Mystery solved, so all Yi can do now is wait it out. Then, one quiet afternoon, Yi is sitting at his desk. He is just casually reading through the company handbook to pass the time. Suddenly, the noisy office goes completely silent, and the vibe changes. Sensing that something is up, he looks toward the entrance. And boom, there she is, wearing a stylish blue jacket. Paired with black pants, Bai Ningbing looks absolutely stunning. She is carrying a coat, looking a bit tired from her long flight. Honestly, even with the jet lag, her visuals are still on another level. The best part? She is looking right at him, making his heart completely skip a beat. Ye tries to play it cool and politely greets her as the general manager. He can only watch as she walks straight over to his desk. She asks if he's getting used to the job in a warm, pleasant voice. And then she gives him this absolutely breathtaking, gentle smile that melts the room. Just as Ye Zhou steps out of the elevator after work, his mentor Yao Lele stops him with a huge grin. She curiously asks if he and their gorgeous general manager already know each other. Not wanting any office gossip, Ye Zhou immediately shakes his head and denies it. He asks her what's up, only to see her face practically glowing with pure gossip energy. She admits it sounds a bit cliché, but she's got to be honest about it. The general manager seemed like a completely different person today. Yao Lele has been at the company for 3 years and has never once seen her smile. But this afternoon, she actually smiled at the staff, meaning she's in an insanely good mood. She didn't even yell at anyone, which makes Ye Zhou feel like they're talking about a total stranger. He wonders if their boss is really that scary or if Yao Lele is just exaggerating. Yao Lele nods aggressively, swearing on her life that she is telling the absolute truth. She tells him that whenever the boss returns from the European branch, it's a total nightmare. All the veteran managers look like they're about to face their doom. But today, everyone looks happy, proving they all got a free pass without getting yelled at. This basically proves their general manager must be having the best day ever. On top of that, the secretary revealed she headed straight to the office the second she landed. She didn't even stop by her house after a grueling 12-hour flight. Skipping sleep and fighting severe jet lag just to get to work, isn't that super suspicious? Honestly, Yao Lele has been thinking, and the only major event lately is Ye Zhou joining the team. Since nothing else happened, she just had to ask him if he's the secret reason. But as she speaks, she suddenly freezes, staring at a sleek car pulling up behind them. It's a gorgeous silver-gray luxury Bentley, and honestly, the flex is real. The ride stops right in front of them, and the door swings open. Bai Ningbing steps out of the driver's seat and walks straight to him, asking why he hasn't accepted her friend request. She's literally talking to him, repeating that she added him on WeChat already. She gently nudges him again, pointing out that he still hasn't approved her request. Surprised, Ye Zhou quickly pulls out his phone while apologizing for the delay. He explains he was just too busy this afternoon to check, and she responds with a soft smile. Understanding his excuse, she tells him to hop in because she's taking him somewhere. He has no choice but to awkwardly say goodbye to a completely stunned Yao Lele. She can only nod stiffly, muttering a dazed goodbye as she watches them leave. Bai Ningbing drives him straight to a phone store, and he finally realizes she's buying him a new device. Ye Zhou quickly protests, telling her there's no need since she already paid him back. But she insists, calling it a special company subsidy for their newly hired employees. Talk about some insane corporate benefits. This company is seriously generous. After getting the phone, she casually asks him what he wants to grab for dinner. Realizing she wants to treat him, he decides to return the favor to be polite. He quickly offers to pay for the meal as a thank you for the brand new phone. Bai Ningbing's beautiful, captivating eyes soften with a trace of mesmerizing charm. She raises an eyebrow and agrees, taking him to an exclusive private restaurant. The place is super famous and operates strictly on a high-end, members-only basis. But as soon as they reach the second floor, they run right into an acquaintance. The guy mentions they were just wondering why she hasn't been answering her texts or calls. This loud intruder turns out to be Lin Siren, who is thrilled to spot her. He's practically beaming with joy, but Bai Ningbing's expression instantly goes ice cold, and honestly, we love to see it. Wait, what are you doing here? Did you come to grab a bite? You seriously don't know about the party Su Bai-zhou is hosting? Ye Zhou is finally back! That girl has been living her absolute best life lately since she successfully won over Su Bai-zhou. Honestly, the name Ito Chang is basically legendary and completely unforgettable to our boy Ye Zhou. He is Su Bai-zhou's ultimate childhood best friend and his absolute, untouchable white moonlight. His forever favorite, a year before Ye Zhou even got his system mission to capture Su Bai-zhou, he packed up and left for France. 9 long years later, he is suddenly back. The childhood friend has finally made his return, but Bai Ningbing honestly seems to have zero interest in him. Stopping right in her tracks, she coldly says, "Let's chat another time. We're leaving first." Lin Ziran is left standing there completely baffled. Wait, aren't you here to eat? Why are you leaving so fast? And wait, who is this guy next to you? Did you actually get a boyfriend? Bai Ningbing turns around and immediately tries to drag Ye Zhou away. But unfortunately, the massive crowd behind them has already caught up, and Ye Zhou spots Su Bai-zhou right away at the absolute first glance. There's no other reason besides him being selected by the system as a capture target. His looks are just godlike. That gorgeous face literally won the absolute genetic lottery, and his level of beauty is so high it easily rivals Bai Ningbing's own legendary visual level. But as for the other guy standing right next to him, it is Ye Zhou's first time seeing him. This must be the famous Ito Chang. The dude is undeniably handsome, no cap. A perfectly defined jawline and facial features that look like they were meticulously sculpted by an artist. He is definitely worthy of being the white moonlight Su Bai-zhou has been deeply obsessing over for 9 whole years. Someone calls out to Bai Ningbing, and Ito Chang's sharp gaze immediately turns and locks onto her direction. After freezing for a brief second, his eyes light up with pure, genuine joy. Bai Ningbing! Is it really actually you? It definitely seems like they all go way back. With everyone looking at them like this, there is no way Bai Ningbing can just walk away right now. Ningbing, I was wondering why you've been so quiet lately. Turns out you were quietly making big moves behind our backs. So is this handsome guy our new brother-in-law? The girl teasing her is Liu Ruyan. She is Su Bai-zhou's childhood bestie who always used to throw endless shade back when Ye Zhou was trying to capture him. He heard plenty of her sarcastic remarks. Bai Ningbing quickly says, "You've got it wrong." "This is just my personal assistant, Ye Zhou," she says, her cold voice completely empty of any emotion. Liu Ruyan's smirk gets even more intense. Oh, so he is just an assistant. Does your company seriously hire assistants based purely on looks? Hey, handsome, do you have any interest in joining our Liu group? Whatever salary Bai Ningbing is paying you right now, I will happily double it. Li Ruyan is always incredibly slick-tongued and talking absolute nonsense to everyone. Ye Zhou really does not want to deal with her, but too many people are currently watching them. Just as he is about to play it off with some random lazy excuse, Ito Chang suddenly decides to speak up. "Ningbing, how have you been all these years?" She replies, "Pretty good." Her tone and expression are completely flat, which immediately makes Ito Chang frown a little bit in disappointment. He lets out a soft, annoyed huff. "You are still exactly the same as when we were little kids." "You still hate me," she replies coldly. "You are totally overthinking." "If I am overthinking, then why didn't you visit me in France last Christmas when everyone else did? Why didn't you show up? Were you busy? What were you doing? Watching fireworks with someone else? Man, you really are the type to prioritize romance over friendship." Saying all this, a sudden thought suddenly seems to hit Ito Chang. By the way, where is that boyfriend who watched those romantic fireworks with you anyway? Did you guys break up? Hearing this, Bai Ningbing suddenly goes completely silent. But wait, Ye Zhou's brain completely short-circuits. Who exactly was she watching those romantic fireworks with last Christmas? Was it actually him? Wasn't it her? This 5th run was the closest she got to finishing the mission. It was the ultimate run because she finally got intimate with her target, Su Bai-zhou. Seriously, the night they slept in each other's arms, she almost cried tears of absolute joy. This was her 7th year trying to romance him, after already dying 4 times from terminal illness. She got shot, drowned, and even died in a brutal gas explosion at home. Heaven knows how terrified she was of failing this romance quest yet again. Honestly, she just did not want another brutal death. And how did this mess even start? It all began when Ye-tang Chang went on Instagram to announce his new French girlfriend. And of course, Su Bai-zhou was low-key devastated by the news. He spent every single night drowning his sorrows at the bar, while she constantly went to drag him home.
No matter how wasted he got, he would always wake up safe and sound in her apartment.
She always had hangover tea brewed and a warm breakfast waiting for him. His clothes were even freshly ironed. She kept this up for 3 whole months.
Finally, they slept together, but the very next morning, things took a turn.
Our girl excitedly asked her system if she had finally cleared the romance mission.
But the system slowly dropped a reality check, saying, "Not quite yet, host."
According to the data, the target still has not caught real feelings.
Last night, he simply used her as a substitute for his white moonlight. He did not love her at all. Hearing this, she went completely numb. She did not say a word, because honestly, even in their most intimate moments last night, Su Bai-zhou was still whispering his beloved Chang Cheng's name over and over.
She heard it, but stubbornly chose to play dumb, just to cope.
She thought she could force the mission clear, but she could never trick the system. And she definitely could not fool herself. Meanwhile, Ye-tang Chang's relationship quickly crashed and burned. After only 4 months, they broke up, and he was absolutely sobbing on the phone. She was right there while Su Bai-zhou comforted him, but she kept her face completely blank.
She had no right to be jealous or throw a tantrum. She could not make a scene because she had no right. Instead, she tried everything to please Su Bai-zhou. She constantly cringed and catered to him, wearing only the exact style of clothes he liked. She even got the exact same haircut as his favorite man and begged him for ages.
All she wanted was for him to spend Christmas with her, maybe out of pity. He actually agreed, and she was secretly so thrilled.
She genuinely believed her endless devotion would finally touch his cold heart one day.
But right on Christmas Eve, the guy suddenly booked a flight straight to France.
He did not even feel guilty, telling her that Chang Chang was too lonely over there. He said he had to go, promising to make it up to her next time.
With that, he turned and walked away without a single shred of regret. Apparently, a whole group of 6 people went along with him. They all flew out to France just to comfort Ye-tang Chang. Talk about a massive blow. Right then, she realized her 5th attempt at this quest was probably going to fail. On Christmas Day, she ended up heading to Qifeng Mountain all alone to light some fireworks. She even posted about it online, but after sitting on the cold mountain for a bit, she ran into Bai Ningbing, who had driven up alone. In this 5th life, even though they were not super close, they at least knew each other's faces.
So they sat down together to light the fireworks. At first, it was pretty peaceful.
Bai Ningbing was trying to make small talk, but since he barely responded, she fell silent too. They just stood there watching the fireworks for what felt like forever. It wasn't until midnight that he finally hitched a ride in her car to get back home. They barely kept in touch after that, but then he remembered those rumors about her boyfriend. Could that boyfriend actually be him while he was caught up in his deep thoughts? His phone suddenly started buzzing. It was a call from his landlord. The guy had actually reached out a few days ago, mentioning that his son was getting married.
He wanted the main character to pack up and find another place before the end of the month.
He answered, muttered a few quick words, but the moment he hung up, he sensed something was wrong. Suddenly, looking up, he saw Su Bai-zhou sitting right across from him, staring straight at him. Her gaze was burning, her expression so cold and intense, she looked like an angry spirit. A chill ran down his spine. In his previous life, he had failed to win her over. On top of that, Su Bai-zhou had discovered his original identity, which made him carefully review all his mistakes.
Looking back, he realized he had left behind so many tiny clues he usually ignored.
Most of it came down to his lifelong habits, like his favorite books that never changed. Or those specific shows he loved to rewatch every single year.
Even his phone ringtone and his everyday catchphrases had stayed exactly the same across lifetimes. Any of those details could have given him away to Su Bai-zhou, but in this life, since he had no intention of wooing her again, he wanted absolutely nothing to do with her.
He hadn't even bothered to change his ringtone, which brings him to this exact moment.
He couldn't be sure if she had already put the pieces together. "Go call the waiter in," Su Bai-zhou commanded Lu Ruyan in a freezing, detached tone. Liu Ruyan was confused, asking why they needed a waiter when they had already ordered. Su Bai-zhou shot her an impatient glare, making Liu Ruyan quickly back down with a playful grin. She quickly agreed to go, and it didn't take long before she returned. The waiter entered to serve everyone shark fin soup. Right then, he knew she was testing him. Ever since his second reincarnation, he had developed a severe allergy to shark fin. No matter how many different bodies he jumped into, that allergy followed him every single time. She was definitely doing this on purpose. He clutched his phone, desperately trying to think of a way out. Just then, Bai Ningbing chimed in, coldly telling the waiter to exclude the two of them because they were leaving. "The food is not even here yet. What is the rush?" Su Bai-zhou remarked, her voice dripping with frost.
Her eyes flashed with ice as she asked what was so urgent, but Bai Ningbing shut her down immediately.
Bai Ningbing kept it brief, giving him a quick look that told him exactly what to do. He stood up to leave, but Su Bai-zhou suddenly pushed her chair back and stepped right into his path. Her hawk-like gaze locked onto him as she sneered, asking if he was trying some new tactic. She scoffed, mocking his attempt to play hard to get by pretending to ignore her. With a face full of arrogance, she challenged him, saying she wanted to see how long he could keep up this act. She dared him to never come begging for her attention again, except for him. Nobody else at the table got the double meaning, but he knew she was bound to be disappointed. In this life, even if someone literally held a blade to his throat, yes, even with a knife to his neck, he would absolutely never go crawling back to her. Later, Bai Ningbing drove him all the way back to his apartment block. Neither of them muttered a single word about the absolute disaster that had just unfolded at dinner. Just as he was about to step out, she asked him in her clear voice if he was looking for a new place. He froze, instantly realizing she must have overheard his phone call with the landlord earlier. "Yeah, the landlady wants the house back next month." Bai Ningbing looks at her, acting super caring. He tells her if she does not mind, his friend has a vacant place in Mercury City. It is just sitting empty, so she can totally stay there. She remembers that area is a luxury villa district, and she definitely cannot afford the rent. But he cuts her off quickly. No rent, just utilities. Honestly, he says even utilities do not matter. His friend just wants someone house-sitting.
Hearing this, she just stares at Bai Ningbing. She low-key realizes what he's doing, nods, and says she will think about it. He lets out a sigh of relief, promising to wait for her answer.
Right after his car drives off, her system literally spawns in, completely losing its mind. It screams in her head that a handsome guy like him is bound to shine. He has actual taste. Not like that absolute blind fool Su Bai-zhou. The system begs her not to die horribly again because it cannot stand seeing it. But she is not buying that at all. The system is definitely being too humble. Every single time it resets her, it does it fast and without hesitation. The system whines that it hurts every time, putting all the blame on Su Bai-zhou.
That cold-hearted, toxic trash of an ex? Talk about a complete nightmare.
But hey, in this life, they are finally free from her bad vibe. Bai Ningbing is way better. They barely even started targeting him, and he is already delivering himself on a silver platter. Does he secretly have a system bound to his brain too? Maybe he was ordered to win her over. She starts overthinking. No shot. Absolutely no way. It asks if she thinks hosts are just wandering around everywhere. If a competitor was nearby, it would know instantly. To be completely honest, out of 10 million people, there is usually only one host. In this entire country, there are probably less than 20 total. So getting chosen by the system was a 1 in 10 million chance. She does not know if she is lucky or just cursed. But is Bai Ningbing not acting weird? The system asks what there is to worry about. It insists he probably fell in love at first sight, but she sighs. If that is true, how come he does not remember meeting her in the elevator or at the club?
The system goes quiet. Then it asks what the plan is now.
She decides to wing it and decline. Instead, she quickly finds her own apartment and moves in over the weekend. Her new routine is simple: going to work, then shopping with colleagues after hours. She is actually loving this normal life, but her coworker Yao Lei is still curious. She keeps digging for tea about her and the general manager. Yao Lei subtly asks if he is actively pursuing her, but she says no way. He accidentally broke her phone before, and that is literally the only reason they met. He was just replacing it that day. That is all there is to it. At lunchtime, her coworkers are debating where to eat when they spot Special Assistant Wang, who just finished a meeting. They wave over warmly, asking if he's heading out for lunch too.
Just as the elevator doors shut, she actually asks if they should go together.
Right after, his phone buzzes with a message from Bai Ningbing asking where he's going. He quickly texts back that he's grabbing lunch with colleagues, and she just replies with a simple okay.
She says it's nothing and goes silent, but then it finally clicks for him.
Was she actually trying to ask him out? Anyway, 5 or 6 of them originally went out together. But on the way back, only Ye Zhou and Special Assistant Wang are left. Seems the others took the hint. She hands him a drink, calling him Mr. Ye Zhou and offering his favorite sea salt latte. He thanks Special Assistant Wang and offers to pay her back right away. She just smiles and tells him not to worry about it. It's just a coffee. Then she casually asks how he's holding up working in the general manager's office. Asking if he's getting used to things, and he replies that everything's going great. She tells him to let her know if he ever runs into any trouble or has questions. He can always count on her, and Ye Zhou politely thanks Special Assistant Wang.
She says it's no problem, but then she hesitates for a second.
Looking a bit shy, she mentions a friend gave her 2 tickets to a piano concert.
And it's happening this Friday night.
She asks if he's free, and honestly, Special Assistant Wang is pretty good looking. She's highly educated, super capable, and basically the chairman's right-hand woman. Honestly, if Ye Zhou didn't have this dating system mission to worry about, finding a girl like her, who's so driven and reliable, would be an absolute dream for any ordinary guy. But that's not his path, so he starts brainstorming an excuse to turn her down. Suddenly, his system alerts him that his main target is approaching fast. He instantly changes his tune, asking if she meant this Friday. He says he's free anyway, and Special Assistant Wang's face totally lights up with joy. She offers to pick him up and suggests they should exchange contact info. Ye Zhou nods, and right as they pull out their phones to scan, Bai Ningbing literally spawns right next to them, making Special Assistant Wang quickly greet her. She just nods, but her eyes slowly drift over to Ye Zhou. She casually asks what they're up to, and Special Assistant Wang quickly tries to downplay it, explaining that a friend gave her concert tickets and she invited Ye Zhou along for Friday night. Bai Ningbing is rocking a sharp black skirt suit and gold-rimmed glasses today, looking insanely professional. Her expression is cold as ice as she simply asks if that's so. Special Assistant Wang stands there quietly, keeping her head down. As an assistant, she's great at reading the room and definitely feels the temperature dropping. She can tell the vibe is totally ruined, but fast forward to Friday after work, Ye Zhou is waiting downstairs for his date, but 3 minutes later, Bai Ningbing's car pulls up. He's completely confused, wondering what's going on here. When he asks where Assistant Wang is, she replies there's a sudden emergency at the European branch. She had to fly out to handle it, and her plane literally just took off. Sent all the way to Europe, Bai Ningbing smirks, looking way too pleased with herself. When she asks what's wrong, he says it's just a little sudden. She unlocks the door with a relaxed smile and tells him to get in. Asking if they aren't going to the concert, his system suddenly chimes in. The system remarks how incredibly devious she is, sending someone away just for inviting him out.
She banished the poor assistant all the way to Europe for 2 whole months.
Wait, really? Just half an hour later? The 2 of them arrive at the concert, and it is pretty packed. But let us be real here. Our girl has absolutely zero musical taste and does not even know the pianist. Plus, is there really a difference between a live show and just listening at home? Talk about having absolutely zero class. She opens up her phone feeling a little guilty about what happened to Assistant Wang.
Just as she is debating whether to text him an apology, she looks up right into those cold, piercing eyes.
She quickly composes herself, but her mouth blabs out a random question. She asks when Assistant Wang is coming back, and Bai Ningbing snaps back if she really cares that much. His tone is as icy as a sudden winter draft, but how can she not care when the poor guy got dragged in?
He got targeted because of her, but before she can even finish her thought,
He cuts her off and tells her to just listen to the music, clearly looking a little annoyed. His already frosty eyes darken by a few degrees, and he completely stops looking her way. Instead, he turns away to focus entirely on the concert, leaving her with no choice but to shut up. Fast forward a bit, and the system literally has to wake her up. By the time she blinks open her eyes, the crowd is already leaving the hall. She looks down and finds a stylish grayish suit jacket draped gently over her shoulders.
it belongs to none other than Bai Ningbing, who lets out a playful, teasing voice from right beside her. He sounds super amused, leaving our girl dying of embarrassment. Standard cute romance behavior right here.
This is so embarrassing. Is it not enough to fail at home? Now she is out here doing it in public too, and she cannot even look him in the eye. Only after they finally walk out of the hall does her deep red blush fade enough for her to ask why he did not wake her. Because you were sleeping way too soundly, he says, his voice still dripping with pure amusement.
She cannot even bear to imagine what the people sitting around them were thinking of her.
Neither of them speaks, and before long, his luxury car pulls up to her modest apartment complex. Bai Ningbing suddenly frowns and asks if she actually lives in this place, clearly judging how run down the neighborhood is. To be fair, a 30-year-old apartment block is pretty sketchy, and she is just too tired to care. So she just nods, hops out of the car, and bids him goodnight. Bai Ningbing looks like he has more to say, but seeing her yawn non-stop, he decides to let it go.
He simply tells her to get some rest and leaves it at that.
As she walks into her pitch-black hallway, the system suddenly chimes in to show her something. The system offers to show her something, leaving her completely confused. Just look, the system says, as a screen pops up before her. A holographic screen floats right in front of her eyes, displaying a recording of their seats from the concert hall they just left. The video shows her fast asleep, while Bai Ningbing quietly slips off his own designer suit jacket. He drapes it over her with absolute care, the collar lightly brushing against her forehead. It must have tickled, because she slightly scrunches up her eyebrows in her sleep. Seeing this, he actually looks super tense, like he is absolutely terrified of waking her up. Once he is sure she's still out cold, he finally lets out a quiet sigh of relief. Then he just sits in the chair next to her, resting his chin in his hand. And he just keeps staring at her. Look at this shot, guys. It is so soft.
It is incredibly tender. The system chimes in to say she was fast asleep for a whole hour.
And he literally stared at her the entire time. After a moment of silence, she finally speaks. Are you saying he might actually be a creep? The system is completely speechless at this point. Who ever heard of a creep this incredibly gentle? If she just paid a little attention to his eyes, she would see. That is clearly pure, unfiltered love that he cannot even pretend to hide anymore. So our main character asks the system if it writes web novels on the side. The system is low-key offended and tells him to listen up. It claims it has seen way more people than he has seen ants. And it insists Bai Ningbing definitely has major feelings for him. Basically, he might not even need to try courting him at all. What a wild metaphor, but he realizes the system might actually be cooking. Bai Ningbing really has been constantly getting close, but why? While he ponders this, we fast forward 2 weeks after his big move. A massive typhoon hits the city, and since his apartment is old, the building is literally falling apart. By evening, things get crazy. He watchfully stares as his neighbor's window gets ripped right off. He is shaking in pure fear after remembering those scary news reports. People actually got blown right off high-rises in the last storm. He regrets not renting a better place, his anxiety hitting the roof. Just as he is panicking, his phone suddenly starts buzzing.
It is Bai Ningbing telling him to get downstairs right now. No shot! Bai Ningbing actually drove through a typhoon for him.
With the streets completely chaotic, this guy is built different. He asks why he came, and Bai says he was worried he would blow away. He shields him from the wind, shoving him into the passenger seat. Bai tells him they are going to his house. 40 minutes later, they arrive at the massive Bai family estate right in the city center. Bai's mother asks where on earth Ningbing went during a typhoon. She steps down the stairs looking incredibly elegant and super annoyed. She is worried he might have given his grandmother a heart attack. Our main character instantly panics, having absolutely no idea how to greet her. He just stands there awkwardly and whispers a quick greeting to her. She looks at him, totally surprised to see a guest here. Bai explains that Ye Zhou is from his office and his place is unsafe. So we brought him here to stay for a few days. Mrs. Bai takes a second to process this and greets him warmly. She asks if he has eaten yet or needs some dinner made. He immediately waves his hand, saying he already had a full meal. After he thanks her, Mrs. Bai just gives him a sweet smile. She tells him to just call her Auntie Bai and relax. She tells him to treat the place like his own home. Just then, a sweet old lady in a green dress walks in. She asks if Ningbing is home, and he quickly goes to greet her. She says the butler told her he went out in this mess. It completely terrified her that he ran out in such dangerous weather. She complains he is always worrying her, but then she spots Ye Zhou. Ningbing gently introduces him to his grandmother as Ye Zhou. He explains that Ye Zhou will be staying over for a bit. Ye Zhou politely greets her, hoping to make a good impression. The sweet grandmother absolutely beams and welcomes him with open arms. Grandma Bai literally thinks our boy Zhu is handsome enough to be a movie star. She instantly starts asking his name, his age, and where he's from. Mrs. Bai quickly steps in to save him from any awkward vibes. She laughs and tells her mother not to scare their guest away. Grandma pats her forehead, joking she is just too old to speak properly. She tells him not to mind, while Zhao frantically waves it off. He politely tells her she is way too kind for their first meeting. But Grandma is already acting like he is family, pulling him to chat. She starts digging and finds out Bai Ningbing drove out in a storm, specifically to pick Shu up, making Grandma give her a teasing look. Grandma scolds her granddaughter, saying they have plenty of empty rooms. Why let Zhou rent outside when it is so dangerous for a boy alone? She insists that Zhou should stop renting and move into their mansion. This is a major misunderstanding, and right when Zhao tries to explain, Grandma just smiles and cuts him off before he can say anything. She says since it is his first visit, an old lady like her does not know what young people like, so she is giving him a gift. Right then, Grandma literally slides a stunning luxury watch off her own wrist. Zhao panics, shaking his head frantically because this is way too much. He begs her not to spend, but she ignores his protests completely. Since she insists, he can only look at Bai Ningbing for help. Honestly, Bai Ningbing just stares back with a really mysterious look.
She says in an oddly close tone that if Grandma offers,
he should just take it, which makes Grandma absolutely thrilled. With a huge grin, she immediately slips the watch onto Zhou's wrist. At this point, Zhu is just completely stunned looking at this masterpiece. It is clearly worth a fortune, and thanks to that wild typhoon, our boy officially moves in. Talk about the ultimate plot twist. Her family's pretty simple, with 3 generations under one roof. Just Grandma, her parents, a butler, and a few house staff. Zhou gets the 3rd floor guest room, and his system is loving it. The system is literally doing backflips, saying, "Look at this!" It insists Bai Ningbing definitely fell for him at first sight. A cold female lead falling first? The system is totally shipping this. It tells him his hard work is finally paying off. So why not make a bold move tonight to seal the deal? Shu is honestly speechless because they are literally in her family home. Seduction? If he gets caught and kicked out, he is ruined. But the system is convinced Bai Ningbing would never do that. Just look at her eyes. One crook of his finger and she is gone. This wingman is getting wild, so Zhao just ignores the system. The system asks what is wrong, while Zhao tests a hairdryer. He shakes his head because the hairdryer is apparently broken. The system instantly gets hyped up over this perfect excuse. It tells him to go ask her for help dressed like that. Late night, just 2 people, pure romantic tension. Everything is falling into place, and our boy Yi suddenly looks down at his bathrobe. Wait, there is a literal typhoon raging outside, so why is his signal still perfect? His system hasn't dropped offline once. Then he remembers the third-floor hallway. There is a utility closet down there. Maybe a hairdryer is inside. He opens the door. Shocking twist! Bai Ningbing is standing right there, about to knock. His face heats up, realizing he is literally wearing nothing but a bathrobe. She looks just as flustered, taking a quick step back.
Trying to play it cool, she mentions Sister Lai made sweet potato soup and asks if he wants some. He is a huge fan of sweet soup, so he says yes, but needs to change first.
She waits downstairs while he quickly throws on a comfy tracksuit. On the first floor, Bai Ningbing immediately notices his damp hair. Why is it still wet? She asks, worried he will catch a cold. His is broken. She hesitates, then tells him the downstairs one works. She leads him over. Then she drops a bomb. Do you want me to dry it? The system inside his head starts absolutely screaming to say yes. He gulps and finally nods. He says thanks, but her incredibly clumsy touch makes one thing very clear. She has zero experience drying a guy's hair, like actually none. Our boy cannot resist teasing her, asking if she has ever had a boyfriend. She looks down at him completely frozen before quietly muttering no. He chuckles and asks if he is just her practice dummy. Her icy eyes slowly drift down to lock with his. Is that a problem? She asks. He smiles, saying she can practice anytime. No charge. In fact, if she needs to practice other things, he is totally down. Bai Ningbing's hand instantly trembles. She completely zones out. Honestly, she is so bad at handling flirting. A tiny bit of teasing and her entire face is burning bright red. It is honestly adorable. Especially since her friends are all massive wildcards, except maybe Lin Si-ran and the others. She has always kept herself completely guarded, holding on to a secret first love. She has always kept herself completely guarded, holding on to a secret first love.
He decides to show some mercy and stops teasing her. Once dry, they head to the kitchen.
Sister Lee is waiting in the dining room with a fresh, warm bowl. She tells Ye that Bai Ningbing mentioned his love for sweet potato soup. Ye is completely dumbfounded by this. He stares at Bai Ningbing, asking how she could possibly know his favorite food. She just gives a one-word answer. Guessed. But there is no way. He wants to press for the truth, but she is clearly keeping her secrets. So he drops it. Soon, the storm clears. It is time for him to leave, but Grandmother Bai is not having it. She tells him that a young man living so far out is too dangerous. What if something bad happens and nobody is around to hear him scream? They have so many extra rooms going to waste anyway. She practically orders him to stay, and Mrs. Bai immediately backs her up. They insist on keeping him, saying since he is an employee of the Bai Group, living here is totally natural. They tell him not to worry, but honestly, this is the definition of an offer he cannot refuse. Our guy feels a bit uneasy about the whole setup, but both of them practically beg him to stay. Grandma Bai finally compromises, saying that once he finds a safe and reliable place to live, she'll let him move out, so for now he's stuck living in the massive Bai family mansion. But hey, he gets to hitch a ride to work with Bai Ningbing every day, skipping the hellish subway. No crowded buses, plus he gets to live in this incredibly clean, massive luxury estate. Every single meal is freshly prepared and perfectly balanced, raising his quality of life to a whole new level. But here's the thing. We all know that when a deal seems this sweet, there's always a catch. There's a downside to everything, and he starts feeling like something is seriously off. It turns out, every single time he wants to step out of the house, Grandma Bai gets super anxious. She even orders the family chauffeur to shadow him literally everywhere he goes. One time, when the chauffeur has to travel out of town with Bai Ningbing for a few days, Grandma Bai actually hires a personal bodyguard for him, even if he's just going to the local supermarket. That bodyguard follows him like a total shadow. But wait, the weirdness doesn't stop there. When Grandma Bai has to go to the hospital for her regular 6-month checkup, Madame Bai gently suggests that our guy should tag along and get a full medical screening too. Which makes zero sense because he literally already submitted his clean medical records when he joined the company. This whole situation is getting beyond weird. Honestly, it's starting to feel low-key creepy. On Saturday afternoon, even after he repeatedly explains that he's just going out for a quick stroll, the bodyguard still insists on tagging along, and at this point, our main character finally loses his mind. He decides it's time to have an honest talk with Madame Bai, but her reaction is a total plot twist.
She sincerely apologizes to him first, then quietly leads him straight into Bai Ningbing's private bedroom. And that's when he spots a framed photo of himself from his very first life. Talk about an absolute shock. His body completely freezes up as he slowly walks over to the desk, his heart pounding.
With trembling hands, he picks up the photo frame, totally baffled because he has no memory of this picture.
Looking at the angle, it was clearly taken secretly, without him knowing. Back then, his name was Cai-kun, an incredibly handsome and cheerful young guy.
Then, Madame Bai's soft, emotional voice starts echoing right beside his ear.
She explains that this boy was actually Ningbing's very first love, who was also his junior classmate. Sadly, he passed away from a sudden, severe illness back in his second year of high school.
Madame Bai blames herself, saying that on the day the college entrance exams ended, Ningbing was actually going to confess. But she stopped him, telling him not to distract the young boy before his exams were over. She even worried that if the confession failed, it would completely ruin his graduation trip.
So she convinced Ningbing to wait until after he returned from his graduation trip to finally confess. But when Ningbing came back from abroad a month later, the poor boy was already gone.
This is low-key heartbreaking. That became her biggest regret, and the one thing Ningbing can't forgive himself for.
She says she constantly wonders what would have happened if she had just encouraged Ningbing to confess that day.
Maybe his life wouldn't be haunted by this permanent, painful regret. Our main character stands there holding the photo, completely lost in a heavy, painful silence. That is, until Madame Bai's voice breaks the quiet again, pointing out that this is actually her son's second love. He looks up in a daze, completely caught off guard by what she says next. He sees her holding a second frame, but the photo inside is extremely bizarre. There's no actual person in it, only two long, dark shadows that look exactly like a couple standing together.
In the background, distant city lights are glowing, with fireworks lighting up the night sky above them.
It looks like it was taken at night, Mrs. Bai sighs, asking if her daughter isn't just the silliest girl ever.
Always hiding her crushes, she didn't even have the courage to ask the boy for a real photo together.
She only dared to sneak a picture of his reflection. Apparently, she took it on Christmas Day.
Zhao stared blankly at the photo, feeling like his heart literally stopped for a second.
But that boy passed away too, tragically losing his life in a sudden accident. Honestly, it makes you wonder if Bai Ningbing is cursed, because every single boy she ever liked met a tragic end.
She tells Zhao that both she and Grandma can clearly see Bai Ningbing is totally in love with him.
And that's exactly why she's been acting so incredibly weird and chaotic ever since he moved into their house.
She apologizes, pleading with him not to be angry with her or Grandma.
They were just terrified of history repeating itself. Mrs. Bai gently puts down the photo frame. She lets out a heavy sigh and continues, saying that last summer was when it started. Her daughter suddenly ran to her, crying out that she'd finally found him again.
She knew Ningbing was in love again and wanted her to bring the boy over to meet the family.
But Ningbing said the boy didn't like her back. Still, her mom encouraged her to not give up, saying it didn't matter if he didn't like her yet. As long as he wasn't married, she should chase him. Maybe one day he'd change his mind. But then, 4 months ago, something happened. She suddenly came back looking completely devastated, and she was covered in blood. In a complete daze, she cried to her mother that the boy she loved was gone again. Why is her daughter cursed with such an awful fate? Why does finding love have to be this painfully hard?
Even as a mother, she couldn't bear to watch. But wait, covered in blood?
Zhao suddenly looks up as a terrifying memory flashes through his mind.
In his past life, he was crushed to death by a massive truck on a busy street. As his consciousness slowly faded away, he saw a figure desperately running towards him.
Holding his broken, shattered body close to her chest, the excruciating pain made his vision blur completely.
He remembers mumbling that it hurt too much and that he never wanted to do another quest again.
Through the haze, he heard her voice, trembling with absolute, bone-chilling despair. She begged him to target her in his next life, and suddenly, everything finally clicks. So this was the actual truth. Long after he returns to his room, he's still stunned. The system speaks up with a raspy voice, realizing why his target list for this life had to be modified. It had an extra slot. It seems the main system itself was actually touched by her devotion. The system congratulates him, saying this life's quest is basically a done deal at this point. If nothing goes wrong, that massive $1 billion grand prize is basically his. Obviously, the system had been listening to his entire conversation with Mrs. Bai. Hearing that he doesn't have to die and is about to claim a massive reward is wild. Hearing about that once impossible $1 billion prize, Zhao is surprisingly calm. His heart is completely still. Well, that's not entirely true, because right now he has one thought. He only has one burning desire, to see Bai Ningbing right now. But unfortunately, she's away. She left for Sanya 2 days ago for some financial summit, and nobody knows when she'll return. He paces around his room, his thoughts of her growing completely wild and uncontrollable. Unable to wait even a single second longer, Zhao decisively grabs his phone.
He calls Secretary Zhang to get the exact hotel address in Sanya.
He packs his bags, books a flight, and lands in Sanya at 8 p.m., heading straight to her hotel. While waiting for the lobby elevator, he's just about to call Bai Ningbing. But suddenly, he locks eyes with a very familiar face. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Su Bai-zhou is actually standing right there, and Zhou has absolutely zero interest in dealing with him. But clearly, the ex has other plans as Su Bai-zhou steps out of the elevator. Wearing a cold, smug smirk, he's actually thinking our boy chased him all this way. Talk about delusional. Cai-kun just stares back ice cold. Honestly, back in his first 3 lives of trying to win this guy over, our main character genuinely loved him, so the system definitely got that part wrong. It was actually Cai-kun who fell in love at first sight back then. Way back in high school, when he first laid eyes on Su Bai-zhou, he was completely obsessed and did absolutely everything to get close to him. He poured all his energy into being the ultimate warm presence for him, trying to melt that freezing cold heart. But guess what? Reality check. You can't successfully complete a system quest just by being a simp. Honestly, any real love died after failing those first 3 lifetimes. After that, the grind was literally just about survival. And securing that sweet $1 billion prize. So he asks, you need something? Su Bai-zhou's eyes narrow as his voice turns ice cold. He calls out, Cai-kun, did you really think I wouldn't recognize you?
He claims he made it crystal clear last lifetime to stop trying to reset.
He asks if Cai-kun just ignores him. But hey, since the cover's blown, Cai-kun has zero interest in dealing with this drama anymore. No more playing dumb. He just presses the elevator button saying, yeah, I get it. Su Bai-zhou smirks. I knew it. Seriously, this guy is delusional. Since the elevator is taking forever, Cai-kun gets stuck waiting while Su Bai-zhou warns him one more time. He claims he is getting engaged soon and tells Cai-kun to back off. At this point, our main character is completely done with this dude's yap session. He grabs his suitcase to take the stairs, tossing a dry congratulations over his shoulder. But get this, Su Bai-zhou grabs his wrist looking absolutely triggered. He snaps, do you not understand English? Clinging to Bai Ningbing won't make me jealous. He tells him to stop dreaming, and boom, Cai-kun straight up slaps him across the face. Su Bai-zhou is utterly stunned, clutching his cheek like he can't believe it. I mean, Cai-kun simped for him for 5 lifetimes, so who saw this slap coming? He screams that Cai-kun is insane, aggressively grabbing his wrist again. Just as things get tense, Cai-kun turns and sees Bai Ningbing walking up. The new love interest quickly walks over, looking extremely protective. He glare checks Su Bai-zhou with absolute final boss energy and asks if everything is okay. Cai-kun rips his hand away from the ex, casually saying it is nothing. Bai Ningbing glances at the suitcase and takes it over. Let's head up, he says.
This is huge because Ningbing booked a suite. Maybe Cai-kun can crash with him tonight.
Since he checked on the taxi ride over, a massive financial summit in town has literally every single hotel nearby completely booked out. Ningbing asks why he suddenly showed up, but Cai-kun already has his excuse ready. Smiling brightly, he claims Aunt Bai said Ningbing had an upset stomach, so he brought medicine. Flying all the way from Hucheng to Sanya just for medicine? Ningbing is like, really? The man is still highly suspicious, so Cai-kun plays it cool. He peeks into the room and asks, did I disturb you? He apologizes for not calling ahead, but Ningbing just sighs. What is that brain of yours imagining? He asks if she had dinner, mentioning he ate on the plane.
She nods, asking if his hotel is booked.
Our boy nods back, asking her to show him if it is too far. She points right at his screen, asking why she cannot just stay in his extra room. He finally gets the hint, letting out a pretty awkward cough. He asks for double confirmation while she hits him with those sad puppy eyes. She sighs that nearby hotels are packed, practically begging him to take her in. Otherwise, she will literally be sleeping out on the cold streets, her pale cheeks flushing a soft shade of pink.
She averts her gaze, shyly asking him which of the rooms she should go tidy up.
As she heads off, he opens his suitcase to find some clothes. While looking for cozy pajamas for after a shower, his wingman system suddenly decides to pop back online. The system cheekily asks if the host is finally ready to seal the deal with her tonight. He completely denies it, but the system points out his rather tactical sleepwear choices. He insists they are just normal pajamas and that he simply wants to talk things through with Bai Ningbing. The system supportively agrees, but our guy has a quick favor to ask. He begs the system to stay offline tonight, earning a knowing snicker. The system promises to stay absolutely dead silent and logs off right then and there. After finishing his shower, he walks out to find Bai Ningbing taking a phone call by the window.
She is speaking pure corporate jargon, having finally changed out of her super formal corporate suit skirt.
Instead, she is rocking a pretty simple white shirt paired with casual gray trousers. He honestly wonders if she already took a shower, catching a quick glimpse of her absolutely breathtaking side profile.
Honestly, his heart starts racing like crazy, almost like he just got caught doing something really bad.
Noticing him standing in the living room, Bai Ningbing quickly wraps up her call in seconds.
She asks if he is going out, leaving him totally confused by the question.
He shakes his head, but she just keeps staring intently at him. Under the warm lights, her gorgeous features soften, but she clearly does not buy his answer. He asks why he would even leave, and she suddenly drops Su Bai-zhou's name right there.
So she seriously thought he traveled all this way just to meet up with Su Bai-zhou, huh?
She asks if Su Bai-zhou is his friend, but he claims they are not even close. Why would he look for her? She falls silent.
He lets out a soft sigh and asks Bai Ningbing to finally talk things out. She suddenly snaps her head up.
Her voice trembles as she asks what he just called her, prompting him to offer to call her Manager Bai instead. She hesitates for a second before finally walking over to sit right next to him on the soft living room sofa.
She tries her absolute best to sound calm, asking what they're talking about.
He originally wanted to ask when she first recognized him, but deep down, he already knows the exact answer to that.
For a moment, he has no clue how to start the conversation, but then, boom!
His phone suddenly starts ringing on the table, showing an unsaved number.
Yet those digits are already etched into his muscle memory, leaving him wondering how they even got his private number. Just as he goes to decline, Bai Ningbing frantically tells him not to answer.
He pauses in his tracks, teasingly asking why she is so against him picking up. Bai Ningbing suddenly gets angry, snatches the phone, and declines the call herself. She even powers off his phone, which he finds absolutely hilarious. Now he really wants to tease her, claiming that caller probably has actual business.
He teases that maybe he should go ask them in person, but she grabs his hand, telling him no way.
So Cai-kun acts all fierce, but then pretends to get pulled right down. He falls straight into Bai Ningbing's arms, which totally startles him.
Bai Ningbing genuinely thinks he used too much force and actually hurt him.
He starts frantically apologizing, saying he is so sorry and did not mean to. Since Bai Ningbing just showered, there is this incredibly faint scent of body wash. Cai-kun desperately wants to get even closer, though they are already super tight. Still not enough. Looking at those dark lips, our boy simply cannot hold back any longer. He goes in for the kiss, and Bai Ningbing instantly freezes up completely. Pure disbelief. He completely forgets to respond. So Cai-kun bites his lip as a playful penalty, demanding some actual feedback.
That finally snaps Bai Ningbing back to reality, his hand holding his head tightly.
They kiss passionately, completely losing track of time. In the heat of the moment, Bai Ningbing whispers his name, making him low-key emotional.
Tears fall as they slowly pull apart.
Asking when Bai Ningbing recognized him, the guy gently kisses away those fresh tears. His lips brush against his earlobe, speaking in this incredibly seductive and hypnotic tone. The manga store, that is where he knew. They just hold each other in silence until Bai Ningbing suddenly remembers something. Suddenly, he gets incredibly nervous. Cai-kun smiles and asks if he remembers their tragic past life parting words. Those final words make him stare in absolute shock. He realizes the meaning, knowing that this time they are finally together for real. Bai Ningbing's eyelashes tremble, his narrow eyes welling up with deep emotional warmth.
He parts his lips to speak, but decides to let his actions do the talking.
He leans down again, locking him in a deep kiss.
After their trip to Sanya, Cai-kun decides to move out of the estate.
Bai Ningbing gets super anxious, but Cai-kun patiently explains the boundary they need. Aside from sleeping, they are basically together 24 hours a day, non-stop. But his partner has literally waited 5 lifetimes. They have only been official for 2 days, and he is already bringing this up? Honestly, that makes Cai-kun feel totally guilty, melting his heart in an instant. Living together before marriage is just too soon. Plus, his mother might not approve. Bai Ningbing's father just returned, and running into the big boss daily is terrifying. Talk about terrifying. His partner chuckles, pulling him onto his lap and taking control of the situation. He pulls Cai-kun closer, making him sit directly on his lap, right there. Grinning, Bai Ningbing asks if he is actually just terrified of his powerful father. He just gives a fake laugh and denies it. He claims the chairman is actually incredibly kind and deeply cares for his staff. His boyfriend just raises an eyebrow, fully knowing it is all a total lie. He suggests moving to a place in Mercury City. Cai-kun asks if he means that apartment belonging to his close friend. Bai Ningbing just laughs, tapping his nose, revealing that the place is actually his. He was just about to tell her there's no saying no. Either she stays at the mansion, or she moves into Mercury City. Literally only those 2 choices. But who said anything about refusing? 0 rent and a massive luxury villa?
No shot she's turning that down. She leans in close for a gentle kiss, whispering for him to be a good boy.
Then, Ningbing lowers her voice, asking Cai-kun if that system is still bound to him.
Like, is the quest still not done? Is this thing stuck with him forever?
He immediately gets her drift, smirking. Don't worry, he reassures her. The system is mostly offline and doesn't always watch.
She lets out a huge sigh of relief, asking what the actual progress bar is at.
The system told him yesterday it's at 99.99%, but why not a full 100? Just one tiny step away. Hearing this, Ningbing instantly gets the hint and clears her throat to play it cool. Trying to hide her sheer embarrassment, she asks if they should plan their next move. He's completely down. Securing that sweet 1 billion is a massive win, so he nods and agrees. Miss Bai is actually caught off guard by how fast he agreed. Why wouldn't he?
She gets super flustered, avoiding eye contact while asking if he has anything else to say.
After thinking it over, he looks at her deadpan and says he needs to start hitting the gym. Total power move. Ningbing's face turns absolutely bright red. When Grandma and Aunt Bai hear he's moving to Mercury City, they're fully supportive. They even offer to hire a whole team of maids to take care of him. No need for that. Aunt Bai backs him up, reminding Grandma that young couples nowadays hate having strangers around, so just let them do their thing.
Grandma Bai just chuckles and drops it.
But she makes them promise to call whenever they crave a home-cooked meal. She'll have their chef whip it up and send the driver to deliver it right away. The new place in Mercury City isn't as massive as the family mansion, but it has everything. Completely move-in ready, and right after our boy unpacks, Ningbing moves in. Talk about fast pacing. She literally hits the basement gym to lift weights the second she gets off work, which cracks him up. By Friday night, she goes all out and hires a private chef to prepare a romantic dinner. She spent hours setting up the master bedroom upstairs. They both know what's going down tonight. Neither of them even touches their food. They head straight upstairs, freshen up, and then it's absolute passionate chaos. When the city lights start to glow, the day the system finally leaves him arrives. It's a beautiful, sunny day. Looking at the massive string of zeros in his bank account, he honestly loses count. The system congrats him, saying the favorability bar actually broke the limit at 500%. Proof that through all those crazy time leaps, Ningbing's love for him was always real. The system brags that this massive win made it look so good in front of all its colleagues. With the favorability index literally breaking records, the system gets reassigned to a brand new host. As it prepares to leave for the next mission, things get surprisingly emotional. After spending so much time together, the host and his system are basically best friends now. Cai-kun bids farewell, thanking the system for always having his back. He wishes it the absolute best on its next journey. Suddenly, a low battery warning blares inside Cai-kun's head. The system says its final goodbye, but drops one last massive parting gift. It secured a destiny of 5 lifetimes of love for him and Bai Ningbing. The system officially logs off, and we jump to Lin Xiron's birthday party. Bai Ningbing brings Cai-kun along and proudly introduces him to the entire crowd as hers. Honestly, the vibe is perfect until the toxic ex, Su Bai-zhou, walks in. She spots them sitting together, looking incredibly close and holding hands. She completely loses her mind, storms over, and slaps Bai Ningbing right in the face. Oh, she messed up big time, and honestly, watching Bai Ningbing fold her is so satisfying. The crowd rushes to separate them, but Su Bai-zhou is already seeing red. Screaming in pure rage, she demands to know if Bai Ningbing is insane. How dare she steal her best friend's man, and does she even know who he is? Bai Ningbing completely ignores her drama, having zero interest in staying a second longer. Grabbing his hand, she calls him baby, and he gladly follows her out.
He acts sweet while Su Bai-zhou literally screeches in anger behind them.
A sharp threat follows. If Bai Ningbing leaves, their friendship is officially dead. Bai Ningbing just gives a cold, mocking laugh, saying that makes her want to leave even more. She reveals she stopped caring about being sisters 800 years ago, and they step outside. But suddenly, Su Bai-zhou rushes ahead, completely blocking Cai-kun with a shattered expression. Her eyes are filled with pure agony as she asks if he is not afraid of dying again. She promises that if he leaves Bai Ningbing right now, she might actually date him. Claiming she is dead serious, Cai-kun just stares at her. He never expected this classic husband-chasing regret trope to actually happen to him. After dying 5 whole times, he realizes her late affection is totally worthless. He asks Su Bai-zhou if she noticed he never once chased her in this life. His system target was changed ages ago, so she needs to stop bothering him. This reality check hits her like a bolt of lightning. Utter shock leaves her standing completely frozen in place. Her face completely stiffens, showing absolutely zero reaction. As he turns to leave, her hand desperately grabs his arm. Panic sets in as she stammers that it is impossible. If it was not her, then who? And then realization hits.
Her eyes slowly shift to Bai Ningbing in absolute horrified disbelief.
Bai Ningbing keeps her cold expression and drags him forward, ignoring the scene. But Su Bai-zhou grabs him again, locking her eyes onto him.
Shaking all over, she gasps his name. She demands to know if his 5 lifetimes of devotion were just a system quest. Did he never love her even once? But he just chuckles. He says there is nothing to hide because it is the literal truth. He compares her to a stubborn rock in a toilet, completely toxic and disgusting. Honestly, if not for that system bonus, our guy would have dumped him ages ago. Thank God he is finally free in this life. So please stop acting deeply in love, because it is literally making him sick. Bai Ningbing just stares at him, eyes glowing. And then boom, he straight up calls our guy baby right in front of Su Bai-zhou. Savage roast, almost making Su Bai-zhou throw up blood right there. Bai Ningbing drags him away, hyping him up the entire ride home, praising his talented little Cai-kun for knowing exactly how to destroy someone. Our guy is glad he enjoyed the show, but wait, what? Didn't they grow up together since they were kids? Bai Ningbing just shakes his head. He admits he only tolerated that guy because of our main character. Now, our guy is low-key curious when exactly Bai Ningbing figured out his secret identity.
He pauses, locking those stunning eyes right onto him. He explains that during his 3rd run, he read a wild story in a magazine. It was all about system windows and hosts, explaining how every world has one main system. And underneath that main system are tons of subsystems, each bound directly to a host. They work together to complete whatever quest the system drops. If a host fails their target mission, they keep dying over and over, only to reincarnate under a new identity right next to the target. Strangely enough, he did not doubt a single word of it, because it immediately made him think of our guy and his bizarre death in the first run. In his second life, when they met in that bookstore, they looked like different people, yet felt exactly the same. At first, it was just a hunch, but then he started paying close attention. He even stalked him, which absolutely shocks our guy to his core. Like, how did he have no clue any of this was happening? So what happened next? Bai Ningbing chuckles, mentioning that one time our guy got totally wasted. He was sitting alone at a food stall, loudly complaining about his life for an hour. While carrying him back to his apartment, our guy kept mumbling some wild stuff, screaming that he is done being a host and anyone else can have the system bonus. Confirmed. That was the moment he knew the truth. Our guy vaguely remembers that during his third run trying to get Su Bai-zhou, he really did get blackout drunk and ran straight into Bai Ningbing. He forgot everything after that, but now it makes sense, even if it is pretty embarrassing. Later, he remembers Lin Ziran mentioning that Bai Ningbing's birthday is in just 10 days.
Since his birthday is right around the corner, our guy eagerly asks what he wants. Bai Ningbing just smiles, wrapping a lock of our main character's hair around his finger. He kisses his cheek, saying he will love absolutely anything from him. Our guy insists he has to choose a real gift, no matter how expensive it is. Since he is rich now, but Bai Ningbing just asks if his baby made a fortune. Our guy is thinking about that sweet system bonus he finally got. Realizing he probably shouldn't say too much, he tries to play it cool. So he cautiously names a small amount, but Bai Ningbing just lets out a heavy sigh. He pulls a card from his wallet, telling his little Cai-kun to take it, leaving our guy totally stunned. He asks why she's giving him this, and Bai Ningbing just gently pats his head. Looking a bit down, she just whispers that it is nothing. She is just heartbroken, thinking about how many times he suffered for trivial things. It really hurts her heart. She tells him to just swipe his future wife's card next time. Swipe away! Our boy gets so teary-eyed. Wait, wasn't he the one trying to buy her a gift? How did it turn into her giving him cash instead? So how much is actually on this card? Bai Ningbing thinks about it and says it is probably 10 times his usual bonus. Oh, got it. Turns out his future wife is low-key filthy rich, with savings almost matching his own. Man, Cai-kun is living the dream. Out of nowhere, Bai Ningbing pulls him into a tight hug, saying she is sorry. She wishes she confessed sooner, to just hand him $100 million directly. Maybe then he wouldn't have suffered. But honestly, those struggles weren't for nothing. Because they finally found each other. And now, time for Su Bai-zhou's side story. Basically, Su Bai-zhou was driving home when she heard Cai-kun got engaged to Bai Ningbing. And boom! She gets into a massive car wreck right then and there. Her group chat is suddenly blowing up with over 99 notifications, so she taps one. Once she realizes why everyone is so hyped, Su Bai-zhou completely loses her mind. An absolute rage starts consuming her because for 5 whole lifetimes, Cai-kun always followed her around like a loyal puppy, never sparing other girls a glance. All her friends used to be so jealous of her insane luck with him. Sure, Cai-kun was just a system player, but he was built different and insanely handsome. In almost every lifetime, his looks hit her exact type. Especially in their 5th life, he was giving major retro 90s heartthrob energy. During those intense, close nights they shared, she almost forgot the truth. She almost let her guard down and agreed to stay with him forever. But logic beat her desires. At the end of the day, he's just a system player. Honestly, she saw him as a monster, and this monster's entire fate was completely in her hands. He had no choice but to constantly please her. Other girls being jealous was pointless anyway because his eyes would never lock onto anyone else but her. During their 5th life on Qifeng Mountain, she was actually considering it. Finally accepting his confession, until she randomly looked over and saw him casually smiling at some other girl. Su Bai-zhou instantly lost it. Like, how dare he smile at anyone else?
Did he not realize how misleading a smile like that could be?
For all she knew, that girl would be obsessing over him all night.
Why couldn't he just keep his distance and show some self-respect?
So when Cai-kun finally gathered the courage to confess, she straight up rejected him and absolutely tore his pride to shreds. She told him to stop simping, saying she saw right through his act. In fact, she swore she would rather jump off the cliff than ever be with him, using this brutal rejection as a lesson.
He needed to learn not to smile at other girls so easily.
Besides, he's basically immortal, so even if the mission fails, he will just crawl right back to her in a few months anyway.
Sure enough, 3 days later, he gets the news about Cai-kun.
He was crushed to death by a truck right on a busy street, and hearing this, Su Bai-zhou feels a sharp sting in his heart. Getting crushed by a truck must hurt like hell.
It seems like he dies a horrific death every single time, but then he remembers something else. That moment on the mountain when he was completely off guard.
Smiling so brightly and handsomely at some other woman, looking absolutely radiant.
Such a stunning look. But whatever, he totally brought it on himself.
Hopefully he actually completes his capture mission in this life and stops pissing him off. Who knows? Maybe if his mood is good, he will finally say yes. But Su Bai-zhou never expected this.
He totally miscalculated. Cai-kun is actually getting engaged to another woman.
No way! His captured target was supposed to be him and only him. Why did it change to Bai Ningbing? Why? Just why? An overwhelming wave of regret crashes over him as Su Bai-zhou furiously slams on the horn. He literally feels like killing someone. His rage has officially reached its peak. He slams the gas pedal down, speeding up as he goes into a sharp turn. A blinding light flashes right in Su Bai-zhou's eyes, followed by a massive, deafening crash. Then everything goes pitch black. By the time he finally wakes up again, he realizes he is not Su Bai-zhou anymore. His name is now Shen Yu-chu. What on earth? But the moment he catches his reflection in the mirror, pure terror floods his entire body. The face staring back at him is a complete stranger. What is happening here? What is going on? Suddenly, a strange clicking noise echoes inside his brain, just like a glitch. An old static-heavy television screen going on strike. Then comes a splitting, blinding headache.
Everything suddenly goes dead quiet, and a clear robotic voice rings out.
Congratulations, Host 238. You have successfully bound to the capture system. Your target is Ye Zhou. Su Bai-zhou finally gets it. It turns out he has also become a capture player.
Ye Zhou, he remembers now. That is the name of Shu Cai-kun's 6th life.
He is so incredibly thrilled he can barely breathe, so he chooses Ye Zhou without hesitation. This is it. He is going to be the one to capture him this time.
At this point, System 238 is completely speechless.
It cannot even remember how many times it has tried to advise this idiot host
to change targets, but the host simply refuses to listen. This person has already died 15 times. 15 times! Seriously, is this host a masochist?
No, this is straight-up suicidal behavior at this point, defying death over and over. Car crashes, poisoning, they have literally experienced almost every single way to die.
Yet after every single reincarnation, they tirelessly go right back to it, choosing the exact same capture target. Yep, Ye Zhou. That is the target's name, and he is a wealthy family's live-in son-in-law.
His wife is the stunning, rich heiress of the powerful Bai Group. The system has no idea where its host gets the audacity to keep picking fights with them. Trying to steal someone else's husband? Host, I highly advise you to change your target.
I just checked with the main system. Ye Zhou and Bai Ningbing are destined for 5 lifetimes of love.
This life, the next life, and the one after that. The life after that, and even the life after that.
They will always end up together. They are literally fated soulmates.
The system basically warns him that if he keeps refusing to change his target, he is going to die hundreds, if not thousands of times. No joke. Hearing this, Host 238 freezes. Is that 5 lifetime romance actually real? Like, is there seriously no hope left for him and Su Cai-kun anymore? No, he refuses to believe in fate. Screw that destined romance stuff. What destiny-bound couple? That is total garbage. He is determined to steal him back anyway. Just like when Bai Ningbing snatched him away back then, he swears he will get Shu Cai-kun back.
Right then, a system window pops up asking the host to target Ito Makoto graduation week.
Without a single second of hesitation, he taps the absolute worst option. The next second, the system starts screaming in his head, like, are you completely insane? It begs for someone to save it, screaming about how to unbind from this crazy host. It cannot stand this host for even one more day, and that is the end.